but logical that the US goal is, as I said, an expanded and deepened USMCA, where the US is much more dominant within it. For example, saying we want this area of the value chain in this particular sector. We need this to start with, and trading that off for, an EU-style common external tariff, which of course technically would be written by all three, but in reality would be written by the US. And if you look at that, that does imply loss of economic sovereignty for Canada or Mexico. If you're sitting in Washington, D.C., thinking like this is a board game for global hegemony, and Canada and Mexico won't sign up for that, they adamantly refuse, we are not going to be part of that, it doesn't look good for Canada or Mexico. It's existential to the US from a grand strategy perspective to turn around and say, well, if you're not with us, you're against us. This is not new. And I would urge anyone thinking this is ridiculous or hyperbole to go back and read the classics, the Melian Dialogue. You're familiar with what I'm talking about? This is the Melian Dialogue in 2025. It doesn't have to end like that. I certainly hope it doesn't. I mean, not just literally in terms of what happened to Milos, but I mean, it doesn't have to end that badly. But one has to recognize that when you're dealing with a very large power, which is turning around now in a self-interested, realist, realpolitik way and saying, we see the world like this, there are limits to what one can then turn around and say, well, we don't see it like that because we think this is still the liberal world order, because it probably isn't.
Just to refresh my own mind and maybe the audience mind, the Melian Dialogue, essentially Athens going to Milos, small city state during the Peloponnesian War, and saying, either you're with us or you're with Sparta. If you're neutrally essentially against us, and therefore Melius says, we're willing to take our chances and we'll resist whatever offer you're bringing, and Athens torches the city.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm simplifying. A classicist would be horrified at the reductivity of it. But effectively, you can't just turn around and say, we've never been your enemy. We wish you well, but we're free to do what we want. Because a greater power will be paranoid and will say, we can't have that. At the very least, forget about the torching and, the old world nastiness. If Canada or Mexico or whomever won't put tariffs on China, the US can't have free trade with them if it tariffs China. The logic of that is so crystal clear, I'm just constantly shocked people can't see it, because transshipment will happen in the same way that right now Europe doesn't allow some goods to flow to Russia and willingly allows them to flow to Kyrgyzstan, which sells them to Russia. Where is the statecraft logic in that, other than saying I'm grandstanding, that I'm taking this stance against this country here, which threatens me existentially, but all my companies want to keep making the same profits as usual? And how's Europe doing versus Russia, by the way?
Not that well.